fall, debate the warriors brave. Every thought we give and save. In the ring we stand tall, words are blades that never fall. Debate like warriors brave. Every thought we give and save. Through the noise we cut clean, spirited, mind sharp and keen. With a spark that lights the night, join us in this epic fight. Welcome to the Spartan Arena, where minds clash and thoughts clean. In the heat of every word, truth and insight will be heard. Buckle up and take your stance. In this arena, there's no chance to escape the fight by lore. Dive in deep and search for more. From heartfelt talks to fierce debates, we explore what fate creates. Side by side we seek the light. In the dark our minds ignite. Welcome talks to fierce debates, we explore what fate creates. Side by side we seek the light. In the dark our minds ignite. Welcome to the Spartan Arena, where minds clash and thoughts clean. In the heat of every word, truth and insight will be heard. Buckle up and take your stance. In this arena, there's no chance to escape the fight by lore. Dive in deep and search for more.
Welcome to the spot. It's time to ignite. Oh yeah. Operation Hangout. The feeling's just right. Chilling with the crew. We're ready to groove. Opinions flying high. Come on, let's move. Hang out all night long, all night. Laughing and debating, playing our song. Oh yeah. Share your thoughts, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Operation Hangout, let's reach for the sky. Let's fly. Pull up a chair, let's get in the zone. Voices blending smooth like a funky trombone. Oh yeah. Topics from the heart, making us think. With a twist and a shout, raise up your drink. Cheers. Hang out all night long, all night. Laughing and debating, playing our song. Oh yeah. Share your thoughts, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Operation Hangout, let's reach for the sky. Let's fly. Bring it down, shake it up, feel the beat. With every word we share, the circle's complete. Living loud, think the crowd, that's what we do. Oh yeah. Join the club, come on through, we're waiting for you. Alright. Hang out all night long, all night. Laughing and debating, playing our song. Oh yeah. Share your thoughts, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Operation Hangout, let's reach for the sky. Let's fly. Hang out.
What is going on, everybody? We're back at another stream, another live. You know where you're at. You're at Sparta HQ Network. I am the host of Spartan, aka Peter. So tonight, we're talking about Vince Russo. But before I do that, let's all of us take a moment to honor our fallen. Today is a very special day, Memorial Day. So I like to take a moment and remember those guys and women who did the ultimate sacrifice. If you didn't catch last night's a gray area, we did go over a little bit of it. And some other things with the military. So if you didn't get a chance, remember your fallen. Remember the men because they did pay the ultimate sacrifice for us to be able to do what we do right now. So that's all I want to say on that. Okay, with Vince Russo. Oh man, oh man, oh man. So I already have a comment in the chat from our man Eric. I'm not I'm not just going to sit quietly in the back of the room because Jim Cornette has more nicer things to say about Russo than I do. Okay, I guess you got some beef with Russo. You probably never met the guy, but okay. So I have mixed feelings about him personally. More positive than negative, to be honest with you guys. During his run with WWE, I think he did a great job. I can't take that away from him. Um, I do think he is the person you will need to thank for the Attitude Era. I know some people are going to push back on that, and that's fine. I expect that from a lot of them, but I also expect people to acknowledge his work. You can't take away his work, guys. He put a lot of time and effort during the Attitude Era, during when WWE was still WWF, when wrestling was good. The reason I say it was good back then because unfortunately, wrestling today is what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of crappy. That's part of TKO to blame and some other factors, but we're not going to get into that tonight. But Vince Russo, I will say, we had to thank him for the Attitude Era. If it wasn't for him, we probably wouldn't have had Stone Cold Steve Austin. We wouldn't have Degeneration Egg. We wouldn't have The Rock. Yes, he did not correct the characters, but he did help correct the storylines. He was the head writer, if I'm not mistaken. And Eric, if wrong, please correct me about if he was the head writer or not. But I'm pretty sure he was the head writer of WWE. So I do understand why people don't like Vince Russo because his run with WCW was shitty. Excuse me. It was crappy. I can't sugarcoat it any other shape, way, or form. He probably had the worst WCW run ever. But in his defense, let's call it Ace and Ace, guys. Excuse me again. Let's call it Ace and Ace. Most of these wrestlers who jump ship from WWF, now as WWE, went to WCW, had creative control. How can somebody write a storyline when you have creative control of your character and you're going against the curve? You're going against the narrative. Like, great example, Hulk Hogan. Hate or love him, that's a whole different conversation, obviously. But I will say this a lot of things that Vince Russo pitched to him, he did not want to do. The poke thing was his idea. Hogan's, not Russo's. I remember, I can't remember who he was wrestling. Jeff Jarrett, I believe, was there. Yes, the Jarrett, I believe. And they were going against the whole storyline. And he told Jeff Jarrett, just lay there, let me take the fucking title. Doesn't matter what I write, doesn't matter what I do. Nobody's going to listen to me. So, can you really blame Russo for the failures when people have career control? Personally, I'm going to say no. Because if you are write a story, a script, a narrative, and you go against that, and you go back to your contract, pretend this is the contract. Go, I have created control. What's the point of writing a script then? I do see him giving up towards the end. That's the thing. And that is the problem with somebody like that. You cannot do that. Some people, some fans of Russo may say he's a evolutionary mind character who helped turn wrestling into must-see TV during the Attitude Era, and I agree with that statement. Actually, I do agree. He was the one reason why we had the must-see TV in wrestling at the time. For others, he went the wrong way with wrestling. The modern wrestling has overlooked the storylines, the booking, the chaos, even because wrestling back then was chaos. Like you didn't know who was coming out, who's not, who's where, and that is some of it. That's only part of it, and in my personal opinion, guys, I do think he is a type of a legend, an icon. But let's get my guy in here really fast. Anton, my man, what is going on tonight?
What's going on, Peter? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear nice and clear.
Oh, wow. I got you on my speaker. For some reason, this thing's not working today. I find that hard to believe. Hold on. All right, how about now?
I still can hear you perfectly
All
fine.
right, all right. I guess I'm going no headset today. First
Yeah.
time for everything.
So, as we left off last week, we're going to talk about Vince Russo. Everybody has put him this a narrative on him as the bad guy, the worst booking person, the worst person to write storyline. I am going to say I disagree somewhat with that.
Right.
During the WWE era, the Attitude Era, WWF at the time, he wrote some incredible storylines. Like we can't take that away from the guy. Let's be honest here. And
Exactly.
without him, and I said before, or just a few minutes ago, I said without him, we probably wouldn't have Stone Cold Steve Austin, Degeneration, The
Right.
Rock.
Yep.
He
Definitely.
didn't create the characters, but he did develop those storylines for those guys.
He made sure everybody had a story. He made sure everybody was involved.
Correct.
He did the one thing no one thought was possible. He not only made sure everyone had a storyline, but he made sure everyone was involved in storylines. So if there was one story going on, you weren't involved in that story, you were involved in something else. You always had maybe like at least three or four stories going on with the whole entire roster in some way, shape, or form. And also he was known for the shooter technique, as in he knew to blur the line between what was the business and what was real. And people thought it was real and they all went for it. So you have to give him that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I was looking at some stuff. I was reading up on him and everything. I can see why some people vilify him. And I can see why, and I can see from your standpoint why you feel like he was one of the best things that happened in wrestling. And that's sometimes hard to believe or hard to say. I mean,
so I said a few minutes ago, and I just looked it up actually as I was talking to you were talking. His issue was at WCW. That's where his career went nosediving. Because how can you sit there and be in control of your storyline, but when you come back to him, like I have carried control, but then there's a contract, there's a piece of paper,
right?
Yeah, random
paper. I get it.
And like for example, with Jeff Jarrett and Hogan, I couldn't remember who he was wrestling at the moment, but Russo came out, called his shit out. Says, I'm done with the backstage politics. You won the fucking title. He told Jeff Jarrett, lay there and let him take the fucking title.
Yeah. And that was one of the things that a lot of the, a good number of the superstars didn't like about Hogan, because they felt like, you know how it is, some wrestlers, like especially a lot of veteran wrestlers, will see a young up and comer and give them their shot.
Mm-hmm.
Hogan, say again?
Passing the torch.
Yeah. Hogan was the type to not really do that with some wrestlers I heard in WCW.
I don't know about WCW, but I know in WWF, now WWE, he did pass the torch with I know one occasion off my head right now is two occasions actually. The $1 Million Man, he passed the torch to him.
Okay.
Because he was returning a favor when he came in. $1 Million Man was
heard
already in the
that.
company.
I heard about that.
And he was established. And the Vince went to him like, we have a lot of high hopes for this kid. Let's get him over. You got it, boss. I don't remember if it was junior or senior. Don't quote me on that part. That part I don't remember. Then years later, if you remember in WrestleMania 15, I want to say, was Hulk Hogan versus The Rock.
Yeah.
And what happened in that match? Do you remember?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
The crowd reversed them on them, and they end up literally on the fly changing everything around. But that was the time of the moment. He did what, Anton?
He passed the torch to The Rock. He basically told him, like, this is your stage now. Yeah. You are that person. This is your stage. You're going to accomplish things your father never had a chance to accomplish. Make him proud.
I agree 100%.
So, and it's like when you hear about a lot of the stuff about Russo, it's sitting there like, oh, everyone's going to have their opinion. Some people are going to say some good things. A good number of people are going to say some not so nice things. And
like, what's his name? Eric said it in here. Yeah, let me bring his comment back up here. Jim Cornette. Jim Cornette cannot stand him one bit. He wants to fuck him up. Put
it like this. Cornette hates Russo so bad. He said this. He's like, when he dies, tell me where it is so I can piss on his grave. That's how much Cornette despises Russo.
And I get it. You hate the guy, but that's so disrespectful. That's not even funny. Let's be honest here.
When I read that, I was like, wow.
I heard that on an interview on Dark Side of the Ring.
Yep.
I don't remember what episode, but when I heard that, I'm like, all right, dude, now you're going too far with this shit. Like, you hate people in yourself in life. I have people like, I see him, I'm gonna fucking spear the living shit out of him to the point he's gonna meet his grandparents. But I will never go to the point like I'm going to piss on your grave. That's
when I read that, I was like, wow, this guy really doesn't like him. I hope I'm like, you know what? When Russo passes away, I hope Cornette does not have a smartphone or someone tells him. Because I know that's the first thing he's going to do. The first thing. He don't care whether or not he has a headstone. It's like, that's the first thing you think he's going to do. I'm like, wow. I've heard some people doing worse than that, but I'll tell you offline.
Of course you do.
But he's always been about this business. Like they talk about. I read the article how he literally got involved with WWF magazine.
Please educate us because I don't know the story.
Okay, this is like he graduated college. He finished his college at Southern Indiana in 83. In 83 with a degree in journalism. After that, he's doing some stuff after college and everything else. So in 92, he becomes a freelance writer at WWF magazine. He wrote Linda McMahon a letter basically talking about, how much he loves it and everything else. And she was like, okay, we'll give you a shot. He went under the pseudonym Vic Venom. He later was brought onto the creative team in 96. And he was the reason that the Monday Night Wars started to swing in the direction of WWF from WCW. He basically was just like, this is what we're gonna do. He basically made it edgy. From what I found out, this is what he said. Russo contributed edgy, controversial storylines involving sexual content, profanity, swerves, or unexpected heel turns and work shoots, as well as short matches, backstage vignettes, and shocking angles and levels of depicted violence. Russo's style of writing came to be known as Crash TV, and was heavily inspired by the Jerry Springer Show.
That's funny, actually.
Yeah. And it worked when he got on the creative team, and he basically was just like, no, we're not going PG, we're gonna go rated R. Maybe NC-17, but we're gonna rated R. Say what you want, do what you want, show off whatever you want, reveal what you want. This is what we're gonna do, and it worked. And that's when it started to turn. They started winning. They started doing better ratings wise. And he also, not only that, in 97, he became the head writer. He also started becoming he was the head writer for Raw, as well as their pay-per-views. And at the same time, one wrestler I can honestly say that helped his career, and he has nothing but good things to say about Russo, Booker T. He said,
Really?
Booker T said, if it wasn't for Russo, I would have been some mid-card guy who never would have had his opportunity to shine. That's how much Booker T is very appreciative of Russo, because he felt like he gave him an opportunity after him and Stevie Ray went their separate ways. He gave him an opportunity to shine as, not only as Booker T, but also King Booker when he won King of the Ring and everything else. So Booker T's always going to be grateful and appreciative to him for that, because he felt like he was being overlooked and ignored once he was no longer part of Harlem Heat. Once him and Stevie Ray went their separate ways, he felt like he was stuck in that mid-card spot, and Russo helped him get over that hump. So Booker T's always going to be grateful and appreciative to Russo for that. He feels like he's not only saved my career, he gave me an opportunity to do things that everyone overlooked and ignored about me. That's how much Booker T is appreciative of Vince Russo, and I can see why he does feel that way. I really do, because I read and heard the stories of what a lot of the Black talent had to deal with, both at WCW and WWF. I've heard the stories from Tony Atlas. I've heard the stories from Rocky Johnson, Bad News Brown, Junkyard Dog, Mr. Hughes. A lot of them, Ron Simmons, Devon Dudley. Like, a lot of them were just tired of being overlooked, ignored, and being seen as almost like either props or the comic relief. And then all of a sudden, you see how Booker T wrote, you saw how Booker T did his thing in WCW till when they ended. And then when he came to the WWF, you saw how more popular he became.
Oh, yeah, he was a different character.
Yeah, he was totally different. You had to take him serious. He wasn't just a comic relief. So Booker T's always going to be thankful and appreciative of Russo for that. But of course, Jeff Jarrett, Bret Hart, I already told you about Jim Cornette. But a good number of wrestlers are all going to have their reasons for you've heard Eric Bischoff and what he said about him. And I've heard Tony Khan has criticized him as well.
Remind me what Eric Bischoff said about him.
Bischoff said he basically called him fraudulent in a way. He said basically in one situation, he said Russo was hired by WCW overstaying his influence in WWF and basically called him a fraud. He feels like Russo made more of what he did in WWF. Like he was only doing this, but Russo made it seem like he was doing this. You know, even Jody Hamilton and Tony Khan criticized him because they feel like he's the reason why WCW failed.
Vince Russo.
Yeah. And even
how about we actually get the facts right here for a minute? Let's break this down, me and you, Anton, right? So Vince Russo, only power he had in WCW, if I'm not correct, please correct me wrong, was create a right. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, he did. He was one of the head writers.
So these guys, Eric Bischoff, aka the gold digger, cocksucking sleech he was was okay to spend oh man, what's his name? He just passed away too. We did a show last week on that.
And we just did a show on him last week.
Yeah, his money and out asking questions. So that's okay, right?
Right.
You can sign people to a 5 to 6 digit contract that when you don't have the fucking money, it's not your money you spend like that. You don't go to daddy and ask him. You just write the checks. But that's of course that's their fault.
Yeah.
Or my favorite one when what's their names? NXT who's going to show up to WCW, they close the gates. I bet you Vince Russo is probably screaming. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Let them in. This is gonna blow TV. No, they didn't do that. Mm-hmm. Oh, my last favorite one is putting Goldberg, as Goldberg's one of my favorite WCW wrestlers,
right,
on in a streak that you couldn't even break if you wanted to.
Right.
What was that? 5,000 days championship bullshit like that.
He had this winning streak of like his first 30, 40 matches, he was undefeated. Like you look forward to it. Like every time Goldberg came into the ring, it started at the door to his dressing room. Bang, 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 bang. Somebody in the staff banging on his door. He opens the door real hard. He's walking out. You see that same person.
No, don't forget it. Also banging at the door. It says, Goldberg, it's time.
Yeah.
Then he comes out.
And then he's walking out with that same person and maybe like 4 other individuals. And then right before they get the curtain, say again?
Like security guards, like.
Yeah. And then
security guard, like they're protecting him. They're protecting him for others.
Right. And then right before they get to what is now known as the gorilla room, the gorilla curtain, he gets in there, he gets all set, he's getting ready, he's getting all souped up, and then of course the pyro and everything else, the music's still playing, the people chanting his name, he comes out, he does his thing, he does that facial look, the pyro's still going on, and he's walking to the ring, doing his thing, ready to go. That was Vince Russo.
Again, how was it his fault? I really am curious about this.
A lot of people are going to have their opinions. You know that, Peter. A good number, and we're talking about it from a fan standpoint. So I get it. We don't know what went on behind the curtain in the locker rooms during those meetings at the tables. You know, going over scripts and so on and so forth.
Yeah, the writers' meeting.
Right. So I get some individuals saw everything from that perspective and giving their opinion, whether it's good or bad. You know? But can you really say WCW would have been at its height if it wasn't for Russo? Could you say also, would the WWF have recovered because they were losing the Monday Night Wars at that time? People forget. Before Russo became part of the creative team and then became the head writer. I honestly think, and let's be honest, let's keep this a buck. WCW probably would still be around. No, my fault. WCW would probably be in a better situation if Russo didn't sign with the WWF. Because for a period of time, it was WCW winning those Monday Night Wars.
And people forget Jim Cornette, who blames him so much, worked for what promotion at the time? Please, Anton, educate our fans. Tell me, which one?
I think was he working for Ted Turner or was he working for Vince McMahon?
WCW. That's what I think he just came back to the States because he was working for
New Japan at the time.
He worked for New Japan for a little bit. I'm not sure how long he worked for there, because he had his own company called JCP, Jim Cornette Promotion. So they pretty much hired him to run the company,
right?
Before Eric Bischoff took over, most likely, or during. Maybe they were running it together, but somebody was spending Tim Turner's paychecks.
Yeah, someone was spending Ted Turner's money. Somebody was doing it. Who was it? It wasn't me, I can tell you that. I was in college, then I joined the Army. That money would have been nice 30 years ago. Tell me about it. If you think about it, I could have done a lot with that money 30 years ago.
Yep.
Yeah, so, like I said, everyone's going to have their opinion. Agree with it or not, everyone's going to have their opinion on how they feel about Russo. Wrestlers, promoters, everyone's going to have their opinion, like it or not. That's just how it is. And it's just funny when you listen to what people have to say about Russo. You're sitting there like, damn, they really don't like him. So, to me, I feel like he's a bit of an enigma. He's a bit of an enigma, but at the same time, he was one of those individuals that literally helped steer the business.
I want to be correct. Hang on a second. I just read it online. Okay. I was wrong. Jim Cornette Sr. Started a promotion called JCP, Jim Cornette Promotion.
Yeah.
Then passed on to his son.
Right.
That they went on sale. They sold the company in 1988. That's way before WCW.
Right.
So later on, he just probably worked for WCW as a promoter.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong. Again, you cannot blame Jim Cornette for the fall. I still blame Eric Bischoff 100%.
Wow.
Because he was running the company. Think about it and tell what I'm saying.
There was a lot of things that happened that led to the end of WCW. You could put it on Bischoff, you could put it on Russo, but it was a lot. But the other thing I can say is a lot of the young wrestlers they never pushed them.
No, they were pushing the old heads from WWF, WWE, and they took a lot of people from, I guess, scouted them in a way, or stealing them, whatever term you want to use, from WWF, like Hulk Hogan.
Randy Savage.
I'm gonna get to that in a second. Hang on. Right. Hogan stepped away from wrestling to pursue an acting career.
I remember
then you had Kevin Nash, you had Tupac, you had
Saul Waldron, Scott Hall.
Thank you. That's one, and so on and so on.
Yeah, those were the four big names we all remember.
But when it was when he was shooting Thunder in Paradise, the studio next to that one was shooting what show?
WCW Shotgun Saturday
Monday Night Nitro.
It wasn't just it was before. It wasn't just Nitro. I think it was before Nitro. I think it was Shotgun Saturday Night.
Whatever it was, they were shooting next to him. We all know that at least. Okay, so I'm not gonna argue what show or whatever, but it was that promotion.
Right.
So Eric Bischoff took a walk and started having a conversation with him. Now I'm good. But he's still watching these guys working. Now the bug is starting to reawaken.
We miss it, and that's the thing people forget because WCW had space at Universal Studios in Orlando. Thunder in Paradise was being filmed in Tampa. All you need to do is take I-4 from Orlando to Tampa. Yes, I've been to, what's going on, Braxton? And I've been to that part of Florida. I got family that live on the Gulf side, And I know some people who live, and one of my relatives, she just graduated from Central Florida. She lives in Orlando now. So all he had to do, all Bishop did, if he wanted
So
to
they
talk,
live on the Gulf, your family?
yeah, they live on the Gulf side. Last Fort
So
Myers.
I guess during what's called is that is low tide. They can come in and out of the border whenever they want, right?
Yeah, very funny.
that,
Whatever.
that was a good one.
Yeah, all right, I walked into that one. I'll give you that one. But all Bishop had to do was he didn't have to fly. He didn't have to worry about how am I going to get there. He just took that drive down I-4. Went to where they were filming the show in Tampa. Hey Terry, let's talk.
And I'm thinking he was living in Tampa at the time, Hogan, right?
Yeah, and I think that's where they were filming Thunder. Thunder.
And I'm not mistaken. Well, he died in Tampa. I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he did.
Because I know my buddy Mark. Shout out to Mark. If he's watching this, he didn't live too far from me because he showed me a picture. He took a picture with his daughter.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and Hogan wasn't a fan of taking on schedule autographs like that. But maybe towards the end of his life, he probably changed his mindset because he lost a lot during that divorce.
He did. He went through a lot in that. Yeah, he did. And I remember a lot of the stuff that happened. A lot of stuff that he was dealing with. And plus also remember his son Nick got in that issue, had his legal problems too. Remember? So that played a role as well. So it was.
Here's one of the issues with I have a Cornette. All right. Okay. Let me read this. Okay, I'm gonna read these out loud. Okay.
Okay.
Cornette attended to go to toe to toe with Vince McMahon and the World Wrestling Federation (WWF), known as WWE now, on a national tour scale, leading to several financial tragedies. In 1988, he sold the company to Turner. He sold company. That's how he probably worked for WCW.
Right.
Which leaded
Crockett Productions. I always thought it was Cornette Productions, not Crockett. But we all know
tomato. I'm not gonna I'm not really gonna bug on that. Yeah. Which lead the foundation of World Champions Wrestling. So Cornette, my man, you blame Vince Russo for your failures, my man. Eric, I'm sorry. I know you're watching this and you're probably screaming at the phone or you're watching this. I love you, brother, but I am reading facts here right now, and the facts are telling you right now it wasn't Vince. He was cock blocked with a major fucking dick in the way.
Yeah.
And without Vaseline.
You're probably right. Like, here's the thing I was telling you about. This is what I was saying. Hey, I'll read this to you. Booker T credits Russo for his rise to main event status, saying, if it weren't for Vince Russo, perhaps I would never have been the world champion at all, ever. Russo thanked Booker for the compliment and has since called Booker's coronation as WCW champion at Bash at the Beach 2000 the proudest moment of my career and the greatest contribution I was able to make to the business. Former TNA President Dixie Carter called Russo incredibly talented in 2014, but said his presence proved to be too distracting to continue a working relationship. When asked if Russo could return to the promotion, she said, never say never. Various wrestlers who worked with Russo in TNA have spoken fondly of him.
I did not know he worked for TNA.
Yeah, for a period of time. He did work for TNA.
He also worked for ECW? I think he did.
I'm not sure. I won't be surprised if he did. One person that also said good things about him was Hernandez, Kurt Angle, and AJ Styles.
You know who's another person who said a lot of good things about him? He has his own YouTube channel.
Who's that?
He had him on his YouTube channel.
Maven.
Shout out to my man Maven. He had him and he was no going back and forth. He let him say his story.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of things he says, I gotta give him credit. I'm not saying this because he's a fellow New Yorker.
Right.
Even that's a plus in my
yeah, but he grew up on Long Island, but that's a different story.
Fuck you, I'm from Long Island, asshole.
Hey, I'm from Jersey. You know that. I got to rip on Long Island. You know that.
Yeah, you pop after us. That's
I
fine.
don't like the Island. Hey, I don't like the Islanders, so that has
I
something
don't
to
like
do.
Islanders. I'm a Ranger fan. Fuck you.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Wait. You're a Rangers fan. You grew up on Long Island. Let's
Yeah, I
think
couldn't
about
stand
that
it.
for a minute.
Yeah, no, dude. Honestly, here's the backstory behind that. My mom's best friend's kids. My mom and my dad didn't know anything about American sports. The only thing they knew
Okay.
was soccer in Greece.
Gotcha.
So my mom's best friend's kids, Angelo and Jerry. Jerry was the oldest, Angelo was the youngest, and they were all Jets fans and Ranger fans, and they were humongous hockey fans. They even played hockey.
Okay, so that gets it.
That's rubbed me off, and that's how I became a Ranger and a Jet fan.
Okay.
As long as you support New York, I'm straight.
Okay, cool. Velvet Sky and Angelina Lowe.
Wait a minute, you're from Jersey. Why do you what? You're a Ranger fan, right?
Yeah.
How's that even fucking possible? You're supposed to be a Devil fan.
Ironically, MSG showed the Rangers. That was free. I could watch. My parents didn't have to pay for that on our cable service. Sports channels covered both the Islanders and the Devils. You had to pay for that. My parents didn't see the point to it. MSG, yes. Sports channel, no. That's how they had room for the Rangers. Case closed. That's how it happened.
Same thing was the Speed channel at one point. It was you had to pay for it at one point.
Yeah.
Is that even around anymore?
Speed TV. Speed TV. No, I think that cut off a long time ago. I forgot how long ago it did.
Yeah, car racing has fallen down a few pegs, like we said last night.
Yeah, we were talking about that. But
back on the topic. From what I'm reading here, and what I'm saying to you, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Anton. It sounded like Jim Cornette was more the blame than Vince Russo.
Okay, I see your point in that aspect. And Eric said it's Crockett, not Cornette. Thank you, Eric. Thank you for being our fact checker. So there was a lot of stuff that must have went on between Crockett and Russo that no one knows about.
I think it's personal beef, not It's personal beef, not professional beef.
Right. And that's worse.
I cannot take away Cornette's input to the business. He was the founder of the Four Horsemen, for example.
That's true.
He did a lot for the business. I cannot take away. He's probably the biggest historian of wrestling. I can't take that away from him.
I remember we talked about that too.
Yeah, I think Jim Cornette is a great person overall. I think a great asset to the business. But we're not talking about him right now. We're talking about Vince Russo. But they do have I want to fucking kill you attitude to each other.
Yeah.
And I think Vince Russo feels the exact same way. If I'm not mistaken, on Dark Side of the Ring, he said, I would never speak to that motherfucker ever again. Wow. Not in those exact words, but
I can imagine. I'll watch that episode. I definitely gotta check that episode out now. Even The Rock said, Dwayne Johnson, one of the faces of the WWE, third generation superstar. He even said this. He spoke fondly of working with Russo, praising his crazy out of the box ideas. So you do have some people that appreciate Vince Russo and everything that he has done. You know?
The Rock wouldn't be The Rock without Vince Russo.
Exactly.
The Rock brought the moves, brought the attitude, brought the charisma, brought the it factor.
Yeah.
But you can do you might have all of that and still be nobody if you don't have the right character and script.
Yep. And Russo did that. Even someone like Gene Okerlund, Mean Gene, and we all know how we feel about Gene Okerlund, claimed in 2004 that Russo's ideas were successful in the WWF because Vince McMahon was able to control them, while Ric Flair doubted Russo's WWF influence during their time together in WCW, later blaming Russo for the disorganization of WCW.
Again, I have a problem with that statement right now.
Yeah. I mean, Mean Gene...
Go ahead.
Mean Gene said Russo was able to get it done, and he said the only reason why was because Vince McMahon kept him in line. Maybe that's true.
Not only that, he also said read that comment. Read the article again for me, please.
Okay. Gene Okerlund claimed in 2004 that Russo's ideas were successful in the WWF because Vince McMahon was able to control them, while Ric Flair doubted Russo's WWF influence.
What you remember what he said? He could control them.
Right.
Keyword, the characters. He put, listen, you're doing this, I'm firing your motherfucking ass. I don't give a shit.
Right.
He gave him two options. Do what I'm telling you or get the fuck out of my building. Versus, they grabbed a little, contract. I don't have to do what you said because I have creative control.
Right.
I'm doing whatever, like the poke. Remember that?
Poke Doom.
So who's running? Remind me again. I'm not that smart tonight. I'm actually a little slow tonight. Maybe because I was hanging out with too many hours with my girlfriend today, but I'm gonna blame her. Sorry, babe. But let's say because I was in the sun, I have a heat stroke right now, right? Who was it? His name was Eric Bischoff. Even Eric Bischoff could not control his own talent because he could have said to him, listen, I get it. You have career control, but I need you to do this. But the problem with that also, career control, I didn't do it. They get fired, but they get sit home for months on months end because they had guaranteed contract.
Yep.
That was their second mistake they made. It sounds like this show is going to be turning more into not about Vince, about how WCW fucked over Vince Russo. So, do I have? Yeah. So, hey Vince, if you're watching this, you could have used this back in the day because you got fucked. If you want to apologize for my terms, if you apologize, I am on your side on this. If you watch this, my bad, bro. But Eric Bischoff fucked you in the ass pretty hard. So you get a chance to fuck him back. Make sure you do a raw dog in it.
Oh man. Honestly, if he ever came up here, it'd be great to hear his side of it.
I love to hear his side. I really do. Because I know everybody blames him for everything.
Yeah. But like I was telling you, but you got some wrestlers that appreciate him. Booker T, The Rock, AJ Styles. Right there. I just mentioned their names. Kurt Angle. Hernandez.
You know where I really think it was more than anything? You ever work with somebody you just could not work with them? Because I have multiple times.
I had a few. I can say I've had a few. Maybe
the worst one for me was a guy named John Hayes. Most racist piece of shit in my life I ever met.
Wow.
He only hired one people. You know who that was?
They didn't look
I
like
don't
me. They probably didn't look like me.
Actually, they look just like you.
Really?
Yeah, because he was Jamaican.
Oh, he was a yachty.
Yeah. So he was racist. So we couldn't, like, towards the end, I already found my current job, and I was like, deuces. I'm like, that is the first fucking job in 20 years in this business I've been cooking. I walked out on a job.
Wow.
20 fucking years.
Wow.
That's how much I couldn't take it anymore. So maybe it was something like similar to that. They could not work together. As much as they both tried to be professional, it just couldn't work.
It just couldn't work.
I know multiple people like that. I've been at meetings that the boss put us down. He took us out to dinner, to lunch, or whatever. Set us down in a neutral environment. Looked at us like, I need both of you guys because you guys are both important to my business, and I need you to run the business correctly. We need to fix the problems.
Okay.
And it never fixes them, unfortunately.
Okay. Hey, Eric, if you're listening, I'm looking here at an article. It actually says Cornette, not Crockett. So I don't know. Maybe they're two different individuals. I don't know. We'll just leave it at that. But one thing
I'm not going to argue Cornette, Crockett, or or whatever his name is.
The same people or two different individuals. So we're just going to leave it at that. One thing it did say is he tried to help China out. He was very close with China and was trying to help her out before she passed in 2016.
Cornette?
No, Russo.
I kind of see that because I can see him making the idea of making her the third wonder of the world. Am I saying that right?
Sixth wonder, I think she was the eighth wonder or the sixth wonder of the world, something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, I can see her being the idea,
Yeah.
and I can see him when his head turned upside down when the whole Triple H and Stephanie
Stephanie
thing went down
McMahon
against
came out.
China, and that probably didn't set well with him at all.
Ooh, I can imagine.
And I think he was out of the bit. He was out of WWF at the time. He was in WCW.
He probably, and of course, they all had the same mutual friends, so he probably found out from somebody he knew.
Yeah, through the pipeline, he probably said,
Yep.
"Oh, what the fuck?" Maybe I probably left at the right fucking time. That means.
It was a lot of stuff.
Do you know why he left WWF?
I'm trying to remember what it was. I'm trying to remember, was it just creative stuff or was something else?
I think the guy burned out. If I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, that's right. He was just frustrated because of the demanding schedule, because he was the head writer too, and he just felt like him being away and on the road probably as well for X number of days out the year, it burned him out.
Let me ask you this question: who do you think is more important to WWF at the time? Success, Russo or McMahon?
Oh wow! Everybody wants to say McMahon, but reading some of the stuff that I'm reading about Russo and what he did when he was with WWF, you could kind of give it to Russo. You kind of have to give it to Russo because he wrote some scripts and took WWF into a direction that we know McMahon never would have done. And maybe McMahon looked at it as like, all right, you know what? We're going to go with your approach. But if it doesn't work, I'm pulling the plug on it.
So I think it's a 50-50 here. I think because Vince signed the checks.
Yeah.
Can't deny that. Yes, he had the final call. But they both had a mutual marriage, I want to call it.
Yeah.
A great working relationship. Yes, Vince probably had to keep him in line at times,
Yeah.
like any other wrestler, but he also kept his wrestlers in check.
Right.
He's saying, this is the storyline. Too bad. They probably, some things they probably say, yeah, we're not doing this. It was probably against their religious beliefs or
Right.
personal beliefs. That's a different story. All right. But most of their characters, he said, you're doing it. Don't really care you don't like it or not. It's business.
Yeah.
I'm taking the title off. I'm putting on this guy. I think it was a 50-50 mix. And what I think really hurt Russo in the long run, that he became the bad guy, is backstage politics.
Yeah.
In WWF, yes, there were politics, but probably not as bad. And don't forget who was the locker room leader at the time.
Undertaker.
And Undertaker probably says, like, come on, dude. I have never heard Undertaker personally say anything bad about him. Not even one word.
I don't think I've ever heard him mention Russo. Like some of the clips I've seen of Undertaker talking about like things that went on backstage or anything that went on in the ring, I don't think I've ever heard him say anything about Russo. And if he had, I never saw it. I'm not saying he never did, but I never saw it. And he probably does have a lot of good things. And let's be honest, Undertaker is very serious when it comes to the culture of wrestling. Not just the history, but the culture. Everything about the business, what it's all about, the good, the bad, the ugly, the indifferent. He's very serious about the culture and maintaining a very positive locker room. So I have a feeling that Undertaker, there were probably some things that Undertaker agreed with Russo. There were probably some things they didn't agree with. And they maybe found a way to sit down at the table and maybe find a way to hash things out. Because from what I've read also, he was responsible for the feud between him and Kane. He was the reason why both Mark Calloway and Glenn Jacobs had this feud going against one another. And also why those two have very strong respect to one another as well. because I've seen some things. Because I've seen interviews, I've seen clips of the both of them talking about things when they were both competing, and you can tell they had a great time just
So I'm
talking.
gonna play this in the background because I can't show it, and I don't think we can get copyright for audio. Actually, I think we could. Actually, fuck. Actually, let me watch this really fast. It's in a 4-minute video. I want to see what it says.
Okay,
It came down. It says, Undertaker hates Vince Russo. As you're speaking, I'm gonna watch this really fast, and
okay,
I'm gonna give feedback. I don't want you guys to get a copy strike.
okay. I can't think of a time when Russo did like anything I've heard from Undertaker, but ironically, like I said, everyone remembers the feud between Undertaker and Kane. Because if I remember, at one point, both of them took on the mantra of the Undertaker, but you couldn't tell that the other Undertaker was Kane. And I think at that time, if you think about it, this is before Undertaker started getting the sleeves done. So it was easy to pull that. I think it was easy for them to pull that off. And I think for a period of time, even though both of them Undertaker did wrestle with no sleeves, I don't think he actually had his trademark sleeve that we see today at that time. So they were able to pull it off. And I think at the time when Glenn Jacobs ended up becoming Kane, that was around the time when Undertaker started getting the ink work done and everything else. So honestly, he has done things for a good number of characters, and in the WWF, and gave them that. He gave them that presence. He gave them that identity. He gave them, he made them part of pop culture. He basically there was some things that some people didn't agree with, but he also contributed to, people forget the stuff that went on between Stone Cold Steve Austin and Vince McMahon. And anyone knows those two, when they went at it, unforgettable. From the bear truck into the arena, to Stone Cold finding Vince McMahon in the emergency room and beating him upside the head with a bedpan. He also helped The Rock, like I said, and he also helped Mick Foley when he was doing his rotation of Cactus Jack, Mankind, and Dude Love. So there are some things that Russo has done that's helped wrestlers. And I know some of his critics were Sable, Val Venus, and The Godfather. I know those three had issues with him with some of the directions he took some of their characters, and I can understand why. So I can't be mad at them for that. So it's just a lot of things about Russo. There's just a lot of things about him where everyone's going to have an opinion on him. And it's like, it's almost like you feel like there's no middle ground. It's like either you.
So the video is saying pretty much, the Undertaker hates Russo because Undertaker had him work hurt. But name a wrestler who does not work hurt.
Ooh, yeah.
So I don't know. The guy who does his Dutch Mentel, he did the We the People. You remember that?
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of him. I've never been. Something he always rubs me off the wrong way. But I'm taking what he's saying with a grain of salt, because how many wrestlers even now? CM Punk is a great example. He worked hurt multiple times.
Yeah.
A lot of these wrestlers.
Seth Rollins, for a period of time, he had the back issues. He was still wrestling with the back issues, remember?
Yeah, and I'm going to take that with a grain of salt, because when I typed in Google, have a good night, Eric.
Night, Eric.
And about Undertaker, and I'm not getting a lot of stuff. That means it's not a lot. Actually, this is one video I didn't check out. Let me check that out really fast.
Okay. What do you mean you are not relevant? You are relevant because there are times you came up, you told us some things that we overlooked. You're our official fact checker, Eric. Come on now. It would be great for you to come up here on camera, or even if you don't want
Eric,
to.
I have told you on a private phone call, your opinion matters here. So because we are not going in the direction that you agree with, and that's completely fine. If you disagree, here's the time. Hear your voice. You have a voice. You have the freedom of speech on this channel. I'm not going to block you because, or anytime I block anybody, if it is
If it
profanity
gets
in
ugly.
the sexual or racist or religion matter. So you are free to say your piece.
I mean, Eric, if you, okay, you're in that camp of individuals who don't like, who does not like Vince Russo, and that's okay. That is okay. I am not knocking you for feeling that way. So, to me, I really don't have much of an opinion. I see the good, I see the bad, and it's like, wow. And I can understand why some wrestlers love him, and I can see why some wrestlers despise him. You know, so to me, I want to hear what you got to say about Vince Russo. Come on up. Peter will make a place for you up here. Even if you don't want to put the camera on, Peter will let you come on.
All right. So I didn't watch the whole thing, but the first couple minutes of it, Russo is about 10. Is 2 minutes and 26 seconds. I got into it a minute and some and change.
Uh huh.
Russo is appraising the Undertaker like out of his work ethic.
Uh huh.
He usually come after the match. He's laying on the ground. He's saying, and they're working on him, like because he was in so much pain the chiropractors because he put his body through a lot. And when I pause, is I have the most respect for the Undertaker says. So I'm pretty sure those two guys have a great working relationship.
Yeah.
I have never heard any bad thing come out in Undertaker's mouth or Vince Russo about the Undertaker because it'll be public by now.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, most definitely. And let's be honest, if you've seen any of the videos that popped up on social, whether it's here or on other social media channels like on Instagram or on TikTok, Undertaker's always been podcasting, and he's always swapping stories with other wrestlers like Kane, JBL, Shawn Michaels. Then he will share stories with those guys about certain individuals and everything else, and they're hilarious and they're great, and I'm glad he does that. I think that's what makes Undertaker the Undertaker. I think that's what makes him one of those most respected individuals in the business because he sees the good, the bad, and he's not afraid to share anything serious or anything funny. And a lot of stuff that he shared has always been funny.
In the same token, I just found some article on Google. And it says, I typed in Google, does The Undertaker hate Vince Russo? Is yes. The Undertaker, Mark Quellen, I apologize. Report has real backstage heat with former WWE writer Vince Russo during the Attitude Era. And it could be a multiple reasons that. I'm not sure how true or fact that is.
Right.
I personally have never heard The Undertaker say anything bad about
Russo. I've never heard him say anything really about or mention him by name.
Yeah.
I remember one interview, Undertaker's not afraid to say, to put it out there. He admitted for a period of time he couldn't get along with Shawn Michaels. And that was probably because of the time when Shawn Michaels was having his issues. And he honestly said once Shawn Michaels got himself together, he got himself clean, and I'm glad to hear that, their relationship got better. So
it says here, it goes back to this again, and this could be this part. I believe it. Russo wrote him into a role when he was, in a character or script, whatever you want to call it, right?
Mm-hmm.
When he was actually injured, heavily injured, and Russo, then Taker was pissed at him during him working through a injury. That could be Vince McMahon too.
That's true.
Yeah, it could be either way. Like I know Vince McMahon had a great working relationship with Undertaker. I'm not taking anything from that. I think this. I'll take this with a grain of salt. I think this is more a listen. I like the guy, but I don't agree on the judgment call sometimes. Kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. But honestly, let's be honest. Undertaker was one of the few superstars that can call Vince McMahon by his name.
Good point.
And I remember there was an incident that was going on in backstage, and McMahon wanted to know what was going on, and he's like, "I got this." And I remember he kept yelling at him, calling him by his name, "Mark, what the hell's going on?" And he said, "Vince, I got this."
Yeah, everybody wants to call him an Undertaker, a Taker, or something in those terms.
Yeah,
but never by Mark. Nobody called him Mark. Nobody.
Excuse me. I think that
it goes the other way for Vince McMahon. A lot of call him Mr. McMahon, boss, anything respectful, but nobody called him Vince. Somebody called him Vince, and he turned around like, "You're never gonna call me that ever again."
I think that was the one time he did, and like, I think that was the one time they both called each other by their given names, and that was it. And of course, no one else can really do that. But are you going to argue with a guy that's 6 foot, like anywhere between 6'10" to 7'1"?
Yes, I would. You forget how crazy I am, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Bro, if I ever met the Undertaker, I would go up to him. I mean this, and I'll put this on camera. I would go up to him and tell him, "Listen, I'm gonna get back on camera for a minute here.
Okay.
I'm just reading this as I'm doing this, and you're talking. I'm looking like he's up there, right? I'm not scared of you. I got you." He's gonna look down like,
really?
I'm like,
remember, you gotta put the eyes back too. Then
I'm gonna go. You know what? I got backup. Guys, got anybody? I'll be looking out for my team. You know, like my Spartan team. Like, you guys be running the other way. I'm like, you fucking bunch of pussies. I love Paul to death, but I don't see him backing me up. You go, I'm like,
and he's the tallest one of us too.
You may stick around for like 5 seconds, and like you'll be like, "You got this, man." I have no trust in you. Be at it. I'm like, you motherfuckers. But, you know, really fast. I'm gonna get on topic for 1 second. So I was telling you earlier, I was hanging out with my girlfriend. All right. And I was telling her what we were talking about last night. She got in, the other night where she got me into country. You guys are roasting me, or whatever.
Right.
So she goes to me, "Yeah, but you got me into fucking wrestling. I have never watched wrestling in my life." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm proud of myself."
Yeah. Way to go, Barry Horowitz, Mr. Only pat himself on the back.
Yeah. But seriously, like all these stories we're hearing about Vince Russo are people who don't like him for some shape or way or form.
Yeah.
And from what you're saying, they're more good than bad. And by people don't focus on the good stuff, they only focus on the bad stuff.
Right. Like I'm looking at it's funny when I read this and I was looking at this earlier and I'm reading like, damn. It's like either you like this guy or you don't. It's like, what side are you gonna fall on? Because you don't think like everyone has their opinion of him.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
I have no problem anybody giving their opinions on tonight's show. I'm all for it. I'm welcoming it, actually, so we can have that conversation.
I'm telling Eric, like, I hope Eric's still around. I'm telling Eric, like, yo, come up here, bro. You want something to say about him?
He will never camera up or mic up. I already have spoken to him about it multiple times. That's not his cup of tea, and that's fine. And if he wants to give us his opinion in the chat, I welcome it. I really do.
Right.
Because give me hard evidence. Like we're finding right now. And I'll be honest, I didn't do no prep on this show. I want to go bare bone this time.
Okay.
Because I wanted a unique what's the word I'm looking for? Organic conversation with you tonight.
Right.
Like we are having. But we're both agreeing. There's no pushback on your end or on my end.
No. There isn't. And that's what
I don't hate Jim Cornette. I don't. I think he's a great person, actually. Great wrestling historian. I respect what people do in the wrestling business. I really do.
Yeah.
I have no hate to Eric Bischoff. Even I still feel he's a reason that WCW and TNA fell. I'll give you my personal opinion
Right.
because that's the article says when Eric, or if you can look it up actually,
Okay.
uh, Eric Bischoff and Vince Russo, did they both work at TNA at the same time or different times?
I think it worked. I think they worked together at the same time briefly.
Towards the end before it went down, almost.
What, you talking about TNA?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait. Let me get this right.
I think you mean WCW.
No. He worked for TNA also.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
So my question is, when he works at TNA, those guys, did they work together at TNA? Because Eric Bischoff worked for TNA also at one point with Hogan.
Yeah.
Was it at the same time or after Vince Russo stepped away? I have two
Um.
different theories right now. It depends how you answer it.
Oh wow. I think they did. Hold on. I'm looking at an article right now because Dixie Carter did bring him back in 2006.
And I think that's the time that Eric was literally failing big time with TNA.
Yeah. He's not. He
Here's
came.
here is my theory right now. All right.
Uh huh.
So when Vince Russo heard Eric Bischoff and Hogan are coming to TNA, he goes, "I'm out. I'm not going. I'm not doing this. I'm not dealing with this bullshit again. I'm too fucking old,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't have the energy to go through this politics bullshit. I'm done." So he asked for his release,
Yeah.
and he probably got it.
Yeah, he did. I think he was bought out because I think he was bought out.
Bought off of what?
I'm trying to remember if he was bought out.
He was part of. He owned part of TNA. You thinking? I don't think so.
Because I think he turned down. No, okay, no. He was back at WWE. My fault. He turned down. He left WWE again back in sometime around 2002. He turned down an advisory role where he could stay at home for $125,000 in favor of a $100,000 a year full-time position with TNA. And that happened in 2002.
I don't blame him. Money's money, end of the day.
Yeah, it is.
So my theory, like I said, when he went to TNA after he left WWE the second time,
Right.
and that's probably the not the Attitude Era. What was after the Attitude Era? The Ruthless Era.
Ruthless aggression.
And that's what WWE was getting good again.
Yeah.
He left, went to TNA. TNA was doing good for a while, if you remember.
Right.
Then when Eric Bischoff came in the picture, he goes, "I'm out. I'm not dealing with this bullshit."
Mm-hmm.
And when TNA was flunking, they brought him back, but the ship was too deep in the water.
Yeah.
To bring it back.
Yeah. I think what it was just there was some stuff that was going on because according to what I'm reading right here, when he went back to WWE in 2002 as a consultant to oversee both Raw and SmackDown, but he was only there for like 2 weeks. And I think what it was, that was around the time it was the invasion storyline they were going with as well.
I'm actually looking it up right now.
And he had a situation where he felt disrespected by Stephanie McMahon on a phone call that took place. And that's what made him decide to leave WWE again and sign with TNA. And this all happened within the summer of 2002.
I'm partially right. So it says here, the article I'm reading right now, Vince Russo finally departed from TNA now as Impact Wrestling in February of 2012.
Right.
According to Base, his current influence has been compromised, split away from the fuck is that word? Frustrations, pretty much.
Right.
He brought in Hogan and Eric Bischoff, which lead to backstage frustrations. Russo position understanding to to him to refuse to work and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm partially right. That's why TNA failed again. You see the trend right now?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. I'm reading the article right now. It said he made his final appearance on TNA in October 15, 2003. It was reported that Russo was written out of the company as a result of Hulk Hogan's signing, and because Hogan reportedly said that he would not work for TNA as long as Russo was involved with the company. In February 2004, shortly after Hogan was not able to commit with TNA, Russo would eventually return, but strictly as an on-air character, becoming the director of authority in the storylines. This time, he was a face, claiming to have changed his ways, which was likely inspired by Russo's real-life conversion to Christianity. However, he would disappear again in late 2004 when Dusty Rhodes was voted the new DOA over himself at the 3-hour November 2004 pay-per-view Victory Road and an interactive election on TNA's website. Russo left the company after the 2004 Victory Road pay-per-view, and in November 2005 interview, Russo states that he never wrote a single show on his own during this period at TNA and described his time at TNA as a total nightmare.
Because of who there?
Terry Bollea, aka Hulk Hogan.
Bingo. Again, we're going back. Again, I love Hogan. He was my idol growing up. I grew up. I idolized the guy. I did everything. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But the facts are facts. Tell me if I'm wrong.
No, you're not. You're not.
We are literally debunking this on air right now.
So there was a lot of stuff that was going on that people didn't know about. A lot. And like when I read about this is my first time reading about a good amount of this stuff too. Because I was not aware of some of the seriousness of some of these issues. And it's like, damn, they really didn't like each other, huh? Like you hear things and you're like, okay, whatever. It is what it is. But now when you read about it, you're sitting there like, these guys really don't like each other. And I can imagine there were times when they were on air and they probably looked at each other like trying to keep it together. Oh, what's wrong, Sinclair? You okay? Daddy's working right now, okay?
We have a special guest, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
She okay?
Yeah, I think she just woke up, just wanted, because my wife already left for work and everything else, and I think she just wanted to hang out for a few minutes. So that's basically what it is. You okay?
So the facts are there. Eric Bischoff and Vince Russo and Hogan, all three worked together at WCW.
Yeah.
And they both had, Hogan had created
Creative control.
that flunked.
Yeah.
Moving to Vince McMahon buying WCW.
Yeah.
So then he went back to WWE a little bit.
Right.
But it wasn't probably the same company, he remembered.
Yeah. And that's and now around the same time they were pushing the invasion storyline too.
Yeah. He said he couldn't probably
Because,
when they made the offer to him to go to TNA, he goes, "This is way too much money I can't turn down."
no, I think he was getting more. He was getting more from WWE. They were giving him they were offering him $150,000 to stay home to be a consultant. He turned that down for a $100,000 deal to work for TNA to be one of their writers.
He probably saw something that he believed in the material, and before they started signing all these old WWE wrestlers in TNA, they were doing the same thing WCW did. The product was pretty good, if you remember.
Yeah, it was. It was. What are you doing? Oh, yeah, that was it. I think so, because you look at everything that went on with WCW, and it was like after WCW ended, WWE purchased them. The invasion storyline was the thing that was like that's what really that was the attention grabber. Was oh wow, they bought WCW. Now their whole entire roster is going to WWE, and then they found a way to fit the invasion storyline in. And then of course Steve Austin, because they already acquired ECW, but they didn't let that out till later. And of course they bought WCW, so you had the roster from both WCW and ECW. Now they're going to be part of WWE. And then, of course, the story that went of Shane McMahon buying WCW and the invasion storyline, it worked. It worked. And then the leader of the invasion was the one person I don't think anyone saw, and that was Stone Cold Steve Austin. Because of all the people that no one knew that was gonna lead them, everybody's like, they're thinking, oh, it's gonna be someone within WCW. Who's it gonna be? And I think at that time, Hulk Hogan, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash weren't there yet, because I don't think they made their return until like maybe 2002 with the NWO,
something like that.
Around 2002, 2003, because I remember it was getting to the point where McMahon was just like, I'm going to have to do something I never thought I would do. And I remember he said, bring in the NWO. And it was like, are you serious? But, I mean, but that time of what they were doing already passed. And I guess he was trying to see if they still had it, if you know what I mean.
I think they were sitting on their ass way too long.
Yeah.
They lost the edge.
Honestly, they should have found a way to include them in the invasion storyline.
No, that wasn't an issue, bro. That was they had a guaranteed contract to get paid to sit at home. If you had okay, you made public, you left FedEx,
right?
If you had a guaranteed contract, even when you got released, you still can sit at home and collect your paycheck. Would you go back to work?
No, I see your point.
Yeah,
I see your point. I definitely see your point. But honestly, I think if they would have found a way to bring them back, say, listen, I think we got something that could work here. And I remember Kevin Nash was was a writer too for a period of time. Hey, we got something. Do you think it could work? Hey, Kevin, we're going to send you some stuff. Look through it. Tell me what you think. Do you think it could work? Yes or no? Do you think Scott and Terry would go along with it? And if Kevin looked at it and looked through it and said, okay, this works, this doesn't work, bringing me, Scott, and Terry back, I'll talk to them. This is what they want to do, yada, yada, yada. When do you think we should go back? Or do you think we should go back? Or how soon should we go back? And I think this is before Scott Hall was having his issues. But I think also, if they saw it as, you know what? This might be the right time to come back. I see what they're trying to do. I see the momentum. Let's go back at this time. And maybe it would have worked. And maybe it could have worked. Because when they started the invasion storyline, if there was a way they could bring all three of them back, that might have helped the storyline.
I think it would be a game changer.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Because when Hogan, Hall, and Nash got together to form the NWO back in 96, that was a serious game changer. And maybe if they would have came back like right around within that same time frame of the invasion storyline, that could have also been a game changer again. You saw how the three of them together became a game changer for WCW. Maybe those three coming back together again could have been a game changer for WWE. Yes, WCW's gone, but guess what? We didn't. Just because WCW's gone doesn't mean we are.
Yeah.
And I think that would have, and I think it would have worked because we know it's all about timing. And I think that would have been the perfect timing. And even though I know all three of them were enjoying their time at home and still getting paid, if you got something that could work, you may have to cut that vacation short. And I know it's not easy. And maybe if things were better between Hogan and Bischoff and Russo, I think Russo could have wrote a good story that would have made this work.
Absolutely.
And it would have been interesting to see what Russo could have brought to the table in that situation. Because I remember when Stone Cold became the head of the Invasion storyline, both WCW and ECW idolized him like, this is our leader and this is the person that's going to take us to the next level. Really, Sinclair? I'm working here. I'm working here. Come on now. Uncle Peter and I are working here right now, okay? Come on. Time to go to sleep. All right? Say bye to Uncle Peter. All right? Daddy got to go back to work, okay? All right, come on. Let's go. It's okay, Sinclair. I will see you later. Or you want to just stay right here next to me? All right, you can sit right here. You can stand right here next to me then. All right? There. But I really do think Russo could have, who knows what Russo could have done in that aspect. It probably would have helped WWE in so many ways. Maybe the thing I remember Shane McMahon wanted to do was still operate WCW as a separate entity, even though it was now part of the WWE. And I wouldn't be surprised if Russo would have been, no, let's do that story. And I can put together something, and I can put together a team that can make this work. WCW do their thing, WWE do their thing, and then still find a way to have them overlap each other at the same time. I think it would have worked.
I think if Russo would have made the Degenerate X and NWO face each other,
that would have been great.
Years later, when they were out of their prime.
Honestly, that would have been that might have been that would have been the perfect time. The Invasion storyline, Hogan Hall Nash still had it. Now you basically just slimmed down the NWO just to those three or maybe a couple other people. No more hangers-ons. Maybe find a way to talk to both Triple H and Shawn Michaels. Bring them back. Road Dogg, Billy Gunn, X-Pac. But you know what? X-Pac would have been that deciding factor because he was part of both DX and the NWO.
And he was the only one, I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. That would have been.
I think how it sure ran, this is my personal opinion, of course. Shawn Michaels and Triple H in a handicap match with Hogan,
Hall Nash,
and
Scott Hall.
Scott Hall, thank you.
That would have been interesting.
A handicap match. Because it's 3 against 2.
Yeah. And two of the most recognizable factions in wrestling at that time. Finally going against each other. It would have been. I think that would have sold. That would have sold. I think that really would have worked. That would have been one of those things like, oh my God, who would have thought we finally have a chance to see these guys go up against each other? How interesting would it have been?
Absolutely.
You know, one side, you got one group of fans wearing the green and black, yelling, suck it. The other side, everyone wearing the black and white.
It's too sweet.
Just too sweet. It would have been interesting. That would have sold. And I guarantee you, if Russo had the chance, something tells me they would have found a way to put their difference aside to say, listen, this is an opportunity for all of us to get paid. For right now, let's just whatever it is, let's just put that on the back burner and let's find a way to get paid. And it would have been great. Everybody would have got paid. We talked about one of those moments as one of those greatest moments in wrestling. It would have been just so phenomenal. It would have been like, I'm glad they did this. But unfortunately, you got egos. You have
politics.
and politics. And unfortunately, those things stopped something that could have been possible. That would have been the ultimate game changer right there. Because I think a lot of people would have loved this scene at DX versus NWO Battle Royale. Like, you got everyone in DX, everyone in NWO just going at it. It would have been just interesting to see. You know?
What ifs? That's the part of wrestling.
That's a serious what if. And I think Russo would have found a way to put together a great script, a great story for that. And ironically, you know what? You could have made it like a lumberjack match. Had everyone on WCW on one side, room for the NWO. Everyone on WWE on the other side with room for DX. And make it like a lumberjack.
They don't do too many lumberjack matches. They barely use them.
Yeah, I know, but I think that would have made a great lumberjack match. That 3-on-2 handicap, and you bring out WCW on one side, WCW and ECW on one side, WWE on the other side. That would have been the match of matches.
I agree.
And it just sucks, like you said, it just sucks the what if and the if only factor. And I think Russo would have put together a great story for all of them to work with. They would just all find a way to put their egos to the side for once and just thought, you know what? If we do this, we're going to get paid. Not only we're going to get paid, this is going to be one of those things people are going to be talking about forever. But I don't know. If like you said, what if? And I think Russo could have done it too. Russo would have found a way to make it work. I really do. So it's like it's just wild because this is the one. I can't think of anyone else in wrestling, whether a superstar, a promoter, that would have had this one side or the other effect.
You know, I just came up with an idea.
What's that?
The NWO was still around and Generation X, right?
Right.
Versus the Bloodline.
Ooh!
Imagine the storylines we're gonna get.
Oh my God. That is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That would be interesting. My God. I'm just picturing it. Oh my, yo. That would have been awesome. That would have been awesome. But oh man, that's definitely a what if. That's definitely a what if right there.
I think down the road we should do a show about what ifs.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think we should do a what if because there are a lot of things we've all thought about when it came to wrestling. What if certain superstars went up against one another? What if certain superstars that were still in their prime were able to?
I would love to see Stone Cold and Goldberg go at it.
That would be interesting. That would be an interesting match.
Because both of them are not really technical wrestlers. They really only have a very few moves in their arsenal.
Right.
But they're really good at what they do.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
if people say Goldberg, he was just dangerous in the ring. I personally don't believe that. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. I mean, he did have power, but Stone Cold was that you could not keep him down. No matter how hard you tried. He was not the type to stay down. That definitely would have been interesting.
Another one would be a pretty good Sting versus hey Paul, what's going on?
What's up, Paul?
Undertaker versus Sting.
You know what? That would have been a great match too. That definitely would have been a great match. Those two.
Unfortunately, Sting came so late in his career to WWE to the point like after his first match, he got injured,
Mm.
and he got injured seriously, like to the point he did a mini retirement almost.
Oh wow.
So remember, after the Triple H and Sting match, he officially retired. Then he came back at a AEW because he was cleared finally. It took him so many years to get cleared.
Right. And then he finally finished, and he still comes out every now and then, but not as. I think the last time I saw Sting come out was him and Tony Schiavone in the ring paying tribute to Ted Turner when he passed away.
Yeah, he comes as a more like a on-air person versus a wrestler.
Yeah, he still puts on the face paint and everything.
I
too.
met Sting. Sting was one of the nicest people you can meet.
Oh, I've heard stories about him. I've heard a lot of cool things about
He's very
Sting.
shy. He's very shy.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So maybe the face paint is kind of like that. Like, you're going to get to meet me, but you're not going to see all of me.
Kind of, I think.
I think that's what I think the face paint is kind of like that. You're going to see me, but there's still going to be a little bit of distance. Because there were times you rarely saw Sting with, like, the only time I remember seeing Sting without his face paint was when he was doing Thunder in Paradise. I remember. I think that was only one of the first times I saw him without the face paint.
I saw him a few times, even in wrestling. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it was like rare when you see him without his face paint.
Yeah.
I know he did his wrestling gig he had for a while with his mega churches.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because I heard he's very religious.
Yeah, he became religious afterwards because when he was in WCW, he wasn't very religious. He was a reborn Christian, I believe.
Oh, okay.
So let's get this guy in here. So, ladies and gentlemen, please rise for our president. Mr. President, how you doing tonight?
What's going on?
Doing all right. Got a road trip tomorrow, so
Where's
but
that?
yeah, Maryland. My nephew's graduating, so he's in that DMB area. But you know, chilling today. He'll be going to Morehouse. His dad is a Morehouse man, so he's going there to continue. And his mom is Spellman. Yep. So that whole legacy line is
that's too common.
That's it. So he has. I don't think he had a choice in the matter. I think it was Spellman and the daughter. They have a daughter too, so I think she's Spellman for sure. But Morehouse is Spellman. I don't think they had a choice in the matter. Certainly not another HBCU. So that was definitely going to be
definitely. And people don't realize, like, when you're like, if you have family that already went to a particular HC, like my friend Deanna, she went to Clark Atlanta. Her mother went to Clark Atlanta.
Yeah.
And she already said it. Her daughters going to Clark Atlanta.
Yep.
That's just how it is. So
absolutely.
Be safe and everything. Be safe on that drive down there too.
So Paul,
yeah, appreciate it. Thanks.
What do you have on this Vince Russo?
Well, again, I must admit I stopped watching a lot of wrestling before the Attitude Era. I think. But certainly, as I told you guys, when I think I was the one who had suggested Vince Russo as a topic. I think I was.
Yes.
Yeah.
That certainly from everything that I've seen, people I've seen interviewed, certainly Jim Cornette has probably been the most outspoken on Vince. And I saw comments earlier. I think one way, if you want to drive Eric off a stream, is to mention Vince Russo. That's how much he despises Vince Russo also. So he didn't stay very long in the chat tonight because of the subject matter. But I mean, he's arguably the most polarizing figure outside of probably Vince McMahon himself. Because again, if you are a wrestling fan, Vince started taking the kayfabe off of wrestling, and I think Russo might have ripped it off completely.
Yeah.
And so, if you were a fan of, wrestling as an athletic contest, as a sport, based on rivalries and competition, he put a spin on things that really turned a lot of those old school wrestling fans off, certainly in the Southern Territories or the Territory days. He upset a lot of parents because, again, you could arguably say he was the architect of the Attitude Era with all of the TNA
Yep.
that was there, the bikini contests and whatnot. And I remember, major news outlets running stories on the state of wrestling, that it was too adult, that it was too, sort of too violent. And just a lot of the themes weren't, it wasn't that wholesome American television that a lot of people remembered, certainly during the Hulk Hogan era, Hulkamania era. It totally went away from that. And a lot of people argue that he basically it's possible for the degenerate mindset of children and youth since, because things like Suck It and all kinds of, just things that a lot of the young wrestling fans started to pick up that weren't necessarily healthy ones. Again, much to the chagrin of parents that used to think, Hulk Hogan was pray, say your prayers, and eat your vitamins. And when Vince made the move, and he even did a press conference about it, saying, "Look, that stuff is old hat or whatever, and we want to go in a different direction, more real. There were no good faces and heels anymore. It was mostly just shades of gray or what have you." And I think Vince Russo was at heart for a lot of that stuff. He was believe he was what initially his run with WWF was. From 92 to 99. So he was right there when Vince was doing acts like the Gobbledygooker and just all these stupid characters and whatnot. He made wrestling more adult and more these soap opera type storylines. And again, the added sex and quite frankly, like the one with, I think, the contest with Sable and Jacqueline. I think that was the nip slip that kind of came from that. I think that a lot of parents were just like revolted by that, but at the same time, their kids were hooked. But probably the biggest thing, and again, Jim Cornette talked about this, and I kind of agree with. I think one of the things that he definitely did that really hurt the business was his idea for King of the Ring. I don't know if you talked about that tonight.
Really?
No, we didn't.
Because King of the Ring was basically a boxing tournament, and you had real wrestlers in real fights. And one of the people, for example, that Vince really brought in, wanted to, really had a whole line promoted to make him a really big star. In fact, he wanted him he already had it worked out. He wanted a rivalry with Stone Cold Steve Austin. Was Dr. Death Steve Williams, who was a major star coming from UWA. If you go back to earlier towards the end of the territory days, 86, 87, 88, Dr. Death came out of UWF, and he came to WCW, and he was a major star, former All-American football player from Oklahoma. And he was a big deal, certainly in those days. And Vince had a plan to make him a major player in the Attitude Era. And he already had a run with Stone Cold already laid out. But then Vince came up with this idea. Vince Russo came up with this idea for this real deal boxing tournament. Mm-hmm. And you had these guys getting in the ring and legitimately getting knocked out. I mean, they didn't take the gloves off, so to speak. I mean, they really were competing, and Dr. Death came in, and he got knocked out.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, you can't, so Vince McMahon's like, I can't now promote him. How am I going to put a guy who got knocked out, how am I going to put him in a run? I mean, the crowd won't believe it. Or, any veil or of who he was as a wrestler or as just a tough guy, you just totally took it out. And at the end of that tournament, ultimately, and again, a lot of guys remember this guy Butterbean. So you had
yes, I remember Butterbean.
You had I'm trying to remember the guy who won. He was one of the he was one of the let me just look it up real quick. But he was one of the guys in a tag team who basically won the event out up into the finals. And in the finals, he had to fight Butterbean. If you don't remember who Butterbean was, he was one of these barroom type of 6-round club fighters. I don't even think it wasn't sanctioned by any boxing promotions. He wasn't on anybody's WBA, WBC, IBF, or WBO list. It was basically a bare knuckle or barroom boxing where these guys just kind of threw haymakers at each other. It wasn't real boxing in terms of the technical sense. And he had a reputation that he was a big, overweight, obese, bald-headed white dude who did have some power, and he would knock guys out. And in that final, I think the guy's name was Gunn, who won the King of the Ring tournament. So he got in there, and Butterbean knocked him out in like first or second round or something like that. It wasn't even close, but basically at the end of the day, it really affected obviously the big storyline that Vince wanted to go with, and obviously just wrestlers in general. You got this again, this brawler guy who's got he's fat. He doesn't look like a wrestler. Again, keep in mind this is at the time when Vince wanted more muscular, more dominant, or bodybuilder type of people. Butterbean is this fat, overweight dude, and basically, he knocked out Gunn, and it was over. And so it hurt wrestling in a lot of ways in terms of credibility, which was already being affected anyway. Again, you had a crowd that was moving away from the sports-like events. Kayfabe was kind of going away, and you had this kind of soap opera type storylines that Vince Russo was at the heart of. But again, the King of the Ring was his idea, and it just didn't kind of land the way it wanted. So a lot of people were upset over what he did in that particular time. So that's the kind of genesis of it. But yeah, and then after he left, I think he came back for a short run, I think in 2002. But then for the most part, he was with TNA, I think for after 2002 for a period of time. But yeah, for a lot of people, he is the guy who really, took wrestling from that which a lot of people loved, from sporting event to spectacle. But again, WWE became $1 billion company. And you have, I guess, whatever the current state is of it now, for better, for worse. So you either a fan or you're not, but there's really no middle ground when it comes to Vince Russo, the Attitude Era, and what ultimately it did to professional wrestling. At least up to a time. I think today, the wrestling product, I think the athleticism and things are better, but certainly it was a generational divide that, and he was at the forefront of it.
Oh yeah, but I remember, like I said earlier, I don't know if you heard it. There's some superstars that appreciate.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Just to make a correction, it wasn't King of the Ring. It was Brawl for All.
That's right. Okay.
Brawl for All.
Okay.
Yeah, I had to make scratch everything with King of the Ring. It was Brawl for All. That was the match. And it was actually, was it Bradshaw? Let me just make sure I get the Bradshaw. Yeah, it was Bart Gunn who got to the final, but he got knocked out by Butterbean. Yeah. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
I was right. The Smoking Guns.
Right. It's Bart and Billy Gunn. I know it was a gun. I just forget the name of the guy. But yeah, it was a, it like I said, it left a lot of people scratching their heads. But what happened to I don't think Dr. Death was ever a major player in any promotion after that.
No.
He was a big deal coming into it, and they had a whole run just ready, and that whole thing got blown up.
Wow. Wow, that's wow. I never knew that part. Like I never realized that. I think I remember seeing it around here somewhere, but I did not realize it was that.
Yeah,
that
I mean, you can look on YouTube. I mean, they got several. I think even I don't know if it was Dark Side of the Ring or something like that, but I think they did a show specifically on that Brawl for All tournament. So they interviewed Russo,
It was
they
dark,
interviewed
dark side of the
McMahon.
ring.
Yeah, yeah. So it was it was bad.
Yeah.
That's it was. I mean, since I'm a boxing fan, I didn't mind it as much simply because again, you know, boxing you can't fake boxing, and this is I know we talked about the martial arts versus boxing debate, but that's the one thing you cannot fake boxing if you're gonna do it for real. You risk, especially if you don't have those kind of skills, you risk getting knocked out. And a lot of those guys, Savio Vega got knocked out. I mean, you had guys who were just getting destroyed in there. And again, I think all of it hurt their careers.
Yeah.
Because again, how many times we hear the legends of these guys outside the ring, Harley Race outside the ring, or who's the Tonga guy who's always, most feared guy in wrestling, right? Anytime they're in the bar, the fight breaks out, the guy's taking eyeballs out. Yeah. So all of these things have been, again, associated with these guys of being very tough. And you can't portray as being tough if you get knocked out by guys who are not even skilled fighters. That's the thing. Nobody, I think Gunn might have had a little bit of boxing background, but the thing is, none of these guys had boxing backgrounds.
That's what it was. It was basically, I found it. It was basically boxing, pro wrestling, and shoot fighting. It was a combination of the three. And I'm looking it up right now. And I don't think he did have any. I don't see anything. Hold on, I'm looking right now. If he had anything else. No, I don't see anything here basically as anything associated with him being a boxer or other things like that. I really don't see that. But it's just like, oh, wait, he did? Okay, let's see. According to this, his real name, Bart Gunn's real name, according to this, is Michael. Okay. Paul Chopik. Paul Chopik.
I'm the one who has a hard time with names.
Yeah. Paul Cholopek. And according to this, he did have a little bit of MMA in him. He made his MMA debut against UFC veteran Wesley Correa at Rumble on the Rock Beatdown June 17th at 2006. He also, he won his debut via technical knockout. And in the second fight, he faced Ikushia Manoa at Pride Bushido 13, losing via unanimous decision. So he has a 1-1 record, according to this, doing mixed martial arts. So basically, he has a little bit of something, but he only fought. But then again, the dude now is, how old is he? He's 60 now. So at the time he was fighting, he was probably already in his 40s. He looked like, he was already 40 when he started fighting MMA. Ain't no way he was going to win any fights against, like, younger guys.
I'm not sure how much of the show you call it, Paul, but we as we were going through the show, we were looking up some stuff, and we found some information that shows Russo wasn't always the bad guy, as everybody make him come out to be.
Yeah. Well, just like anything else, I don't think you necessarily, when you say a bad guy, I mean, obviously the guy was successful in a lot of ways. You know what I'm saying? And that's where the controversy is. I mean, like I said, if you love the Attitude Era, which a lot of people did.
I do.
Yeah.
So he's a hero. But if you liked traditional wrestling, if you didn't like all the salacious stuff that came with it, you hate him. So again, so Vince Russo represented a generational divide, as well as I guess a quality divide, like in terms of what do you prefer? You know what I mean? It's like you either like wrestling, you like if like you had ECW had a very loyal fan base. I mean loyal.
That is so true.
But for a lot of people, they despised it because it wasn't wrestling. I mean, and how many times? In fact, I remember someone was selling video. Remember back in the '90s, guys were always selling these videos, these crazy videos, girls gone wild videos and whatnot. They did a video on backyard wrestling. Guys jumping off of roofs and whatnot on the tables and stuff, and all of that was inspired by ECW. So again, it had its following, it had its fans, and a lot of people, like I said, parents and all these other people who just thought it should be banned. It's kids are getting hurt. It's again, they had their sex stuff as well. It was Kimono Wanalea. I mean, come on. I mean, you got or what was that? McGillicuddy, who was the main one? Beulah McGillicuddy and all these Francine, and so again, it was but again, for those who loved it, the one thing I would have paid for back in the day, I never took advantage of it, to go to the ECW arena for one night, just to be in the house. Just to see and feel what that experience is like. I've never seen a crowd. I mean, WWE crowds, they get that like that now. Like last time I went to the Garden. In fact, I'll be going to a Saturday Night Main Event this summer. Nice. But certainly the crowds have definitely gotten more amped over the years. ECW started with that.
Yes.
That crowd, if you just watch those old ECW shows, it was an ecosystem in and of itself that people loved it, and it fit Philly. I mean, when you talk about Philly fans being tough, Eagles fans, Flyers fans, it's not. And God help you if you're from New Jersey, New York.
Sixers fans,
try to go to a game, go to a Sixers game, an Eagles game, or whatever, wearing a Giant shirt or some other shirt or whatever. And you're risking your life.
Yeah, go to a Flyers game, wear Rangers or a Devils.
Exactly, you're not.
Bro, they were throwing chairs in the ring.
Yeah. So again, how do you rationalize? I mean, was it great or not? And you guys all know how I despise Heyman because of how he treated people in that promotion. Nah, he ripped a lot of people off. Sorry, I mean what he did to people were maxing out credit cards. The promotion was bleeding money, and he gave all the people these false promises and everything because again they believed in his vision for the promotion, and he deceived a lot of people. And I don't know if he ever paid any of those people back.
But the thing about ECW, they had the talent. Sandman, Tommy Dreamer.
I don't know about talent. I mean, I'll give you certainly RVD. I'll give you a lot of those guys, but Sandman was not a talent. He was the worst. He had very little wrestling ability. All he had was that kendo stick and the beer drinking and stuff. He was like he tried to be like a backyard Stone Cold Steve Austin, but he had very little bit. That's why you never saw him anywhere else.
But
he never went
Taboo.
Well, yeah, but the guy was a psycho. I mean, but again, he would risk his body. Talk about somebody who would risk their body, and all those scars all over his body were real. Yeah. You know what I mean?
That was the thing with the ECW. There was extreme wrestling. That's right. Like New Jackson is another good.
New Jack.
See, another guy who could not wrestle. None of those guys, him and Mustafa, could not wrestle, but they know how to sell. To go into, they started in Smoky Mountain Wrestling, and to go into that area of the country and talk about, I'm glad OJ got off. That's bold. That is bold. I mean, they brought the hood to Smoky Mountain, and they were like the most hated tag team ever because of their promos and everything else. But they were like, I'm glad AJ got off. I mean, it was the crowd just went absolutely crazy because of that. Oh yeah. There's an interview. Him, in fact, it was JR was interviewing because JR worked for Smoky Mountain for a time, And when they were coming out and whatnot, they were kind of making their debut, and they were basically bringing. You think Nation of Domination was a thing back in the day? They took it to the extreme. They took it to the extreme, but more like the hood, maybe not in the Malcolm X style. This is like we bringing the hood to wrestling and a different type of black power or what have you, but it was sort of in your face. It was meant, in fact, interview with New Jack and actually him and Jim Cornette, because they had beef for a while, but they kind of made up a bit.
Okay.
And basically Jim Cornette's response to New Jack, because he was like, go out there and shoot a promo. He didn't know anything about shooting a promo. He said, I just want you to go out and just make white people mad. That was his instruction to New Jack. Just make white people mad. And so he brought all of the stuff out in that time. So it was
this is 30 years ago too, so you already know.
Yeah. So it was crazy. It was absolutely, but again, New Jack, I don't consider him Sandman, those guys. But they fit ECW. They fit the theme that they were promoting. But again, was it good for wrestling? You're gonna have certainly the fans say it was great for wrestling, it was new, it was fresh. What Vince Russo introduced to wrestling, people were like, yeah, because people, quite frankly, and I think it does align with some of the. In fact, it's interesting. The more I think about it, when Bob Backlund came back as Mr. Backlund, if you remember Mr. Backlund,
That's right.
he kind of was the first one to put the pulse on where the wrestling fan went. And this is before the Attitude Era, but it was at the heart of it. Bret Hart was still in the promotion and everything, but it was just at the point of it. The whole thing that Bob Backlund did, he was basically the same guy from the 70s and 80s. And basically, he was able to see that the wrestling fan of that day, I mean, you talk about Bruno Sammartino, you're talking about those legendary guys. Wrestling fans are not for the goody two-shoes, howdy-doody, kissing baby stuff like before. And he had a sense of that. So when he came back, all he did was talk about the immorality of the fans. It's like, yeah, I work with you kids, and I taught kids how to wrestle, and I did all these things, and you fans, and he basically went at fans in a way that really called out, yeah, these fans are not the same ones. These are not the say your prayers and eat your vitamins.
Yep.
They want it bad. Also, keep in mind with the internet, you want to talk about, again, salacious stuff. You want to talk about the growth of corn, online corn, and people want their sex and all that kind of. So again, it came at a perfect time. Now, whether or not you want to call him great or not, that's a totally subjective argument. But there's not going to be any gray area there. Some people like Eric, and obviously with Jim Cornette, he destroyed wrestling. And wrestling faded and became sports entertainment. Wrestling died years ago. You don't have wrestling anymore. You have sports entertainment.
Like I said before, earlier in the show, I know you missed it. Like, we saw a pattern here where every time Vin Russo worked with what's his name? Eric Bischoff and Hogan, the promotion failed. It was twice in WCW and in TNA. So it's something that is back, and he said on a couple articles we read, he's backstage politics he cannot stand.
Yeah.
And when you have a creative control and he writes a script because he doesn't want to do it, how can you say no?
And that was the thing. He even said working at TNA, like when he left TNA, he admitted it was a total nightmare.
And it was back because of Eric and Hogan.
It was but ironically, Paul, and I told Peter this. There's a piece that I saw in this article, and Booker T is very grateful for Russo because he feels like if he didn't have Russo to work with, he never would have became a champion ever. He felt he would have been forever that quote unquote mid card guy. And Paul, you and I know we've read the stories about the racism, the racism that goes on within wrestling. How a lot of black superstars are not totally pushed. I've heard stories from Tony Atlas. I've heard the stories from Rocky Johnson, Devon Dudley, Booker T, Stevie Ray, Ron Simmons. They've all
I mean, you figure, yeah. I mean, though, that's why I think The Rock. I think he was certainly transformational, in that he was really the first major global black superstar,
Nice.
like who really broke that ceiling, I guess. That you could have certainly a black person being a main eventer,
And even The Rock said
and
one
staying
thing
on
about
top for a long
Russo.
period of time.
He said, hey, he appreciated his crazy out of the box ideas. So I'm guessing, my guess is when he was with WWF, he looked at what he was doing, looked at the Flex Cabana, Rocky Maivia, and was like, nah. We're gonna do this. Your father and your grandfather are these great wrestlers. Nah, we're gonna do this. And I think that's how he helped create The Rock. We're gonna give you something still connected to your family, your father. No disrespect to your grandfather, but we're gonna go with this direction. And that's what he did. And Booker T felt the same way, because I think at one time, before Booker T got involved, paired with Stevie Ray to start Harlem Heat, what was the character name that Booker T actually wrestled under at one time, I think in his early days in WCW?
Ooh, help me out there. I'm having a brain freeze.
It's kind of like something that I'm into, but it's kind of something like that. But if you hear the name, you can be shocked that they actually went with it.
I didn't know you were in cross dressing. You left yourself open, dude.
Yeah, I did. I know. That's true.
Twice in one night.
I'll give you that. I know. Shut up. He actually went in the gimmick of GI Bro.
Never heard of that one.
Yeah. I think that was his early days of WCW. He went by GI Bro, and I was like, oh my God.
Wow.
And I'm guessing Russo may have saw that and was like, For a period of time, he was like, nah. And then when he went to WCW, and when him and Stevie Ray went their separate, he was like, nah, I'm going to make you this type of character. And it worked. And Booker T is forever grateful. AJ Styles as well. AJ Styles. There's one other wrestler, Hernandez. And these two women as well, that are very grateful to him. Velvet Sky and Angelina Love, because when they were in TNA, he started the Knockouts division. And I guess that was their women's division. And he started that. Even Kurt Angle, too, he helped. So there's some wrestlers that are forever grateful to Vince Russo. But it's always going to be a matter of opinion. Always. You're going to have some that value him and appreciate him. And there going to be some of them say, I got 3 words when I think about it. He can either, you know what?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we're getting close to the end of the show, guys. We're already in overtime. You guys want to start doing your final thoughts?
Yeah, let me get my final thoughts in. Love him, hate him, respect him, loathe him, appreciate him, despise him. Either way, like Paul said, Vince Russo is a polarizing figure in wrestling. From finding a way to work at WWF Magazine after writing a letter to Lyndon McMahon and being a freelance writer, to literally becoming part of the staff in around, I believe it was 1996. And then going from there to being head writer, my fault, 1992. and being the head writer and helping develop the characters and helping WWE get better in the Monday Night Wars against WCW and then overtaking them, helping establish and laying the foundation for the Attitude Era, and making sure that everyone in the locker room was involved in the storyline. He did that. And he also helped WCW from the time he went on for only a little over a year to basically when WCW and folded up shop and were acquired by the WWE. He's done a lot. He's helped wrestlers, and there's some still to this day that despise him. Everyone's gonna have an opinion about him. But when you look at it at the end of the day, Vince Russo has changed it in ways no one thought possible. He didn't care about pushing the limits. He didn't care about breaking the boundaries. And he found a way to write great stories, like it or not. But either way, he helped establish one of the most popular factions in wrestling history, the Generation X. And sometimes, like Peter and I said, well, what if you had a chance to have the Generation X go against the NWO? That would have been very interesting. Shawn Michaels and Triple H against Hulk Hogan, Scott Hall, and Kevin Nash. That's one of the ultimate what ifs. So he's also contributed to TNA. He's tried to help TNA grow. He had his issues, of course, still with Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan, and certain things that you'll never let go of. And Jim Cornette is the one person that still to this day despises them. So all I can say is it's hard to place him at where he fits in the history of pro wrestling, but at the end of the day, he did something that no one thought was possible. He found a way to push the envelope, and he found a way to make sure to tell a great story. That's all I got to say. And those are words we're thinking about. Thank you.
I got no more to add. I think that was a perfect way to kind of summarize it. The story of Vince Russo will, people will debate and talk about for some time. But yeah, he. I think I come down on the side that he did more to rec wrestling than not. Like I said, I wasn't around for a lot of things, but just seeing the aftermath and seeing everything around wrestling at the time. I don't think he was good for the product, but again, the fan base and the success and where wrestling is right now, they may tell a different story. I think I still prefer my wrestling, the athletic portion of it, and I don't think he did anything to really, help or contribute to that. But I'm the old guy on this panel, so what do I know?
Old, yes. Knowing, you know a lot. I'm not gonna give you credit for it only. You guys know my opinion, right? I said I think Vince Russo gave a lot to the business. I think people don't give him credit because they want to point the finger at who is more successful. That's my personal opinion. Stick it after the show for like 5 minutes. I know you go to bed. I just want to go over something for the future show. Same to you, Anton. All right.
No problem.
Really fast schedule update, guys. So tomorrow night we're talking about AI versus human creation. That is a debate I've been looking forward to having a while. And Paul, you want to go over your show for Thursday?
Yeah, it's just going to be Next Gen Training Part 3. Basically, working on things you want to change to help you with cope with anger management. We spent the first 2 shows kind of helping people identify who they are, but now, let's start identifying some of the changes that you can make to start dealing with your anger problem. So, anger management Part 3.
Nice. For right now it might be changed. We're having wow, my brain just froze completely. Dark Knight versus the Dark Ninja, Shredder versus Batman. That may be changing, guys. And we are having this show on Sunday for the gray area, right, Paul?
Yeah, so it's going to be right now the rise and fall of great, large companies or great companies. That's been a trend. Certainly, we see in a lot of retrospectives on the internet as of late, on YouTube in particular, and so that topic, just to kind of talk about it in general. How do great companies? How do they, be at the height of success, and what are the similarities that you find why they fail? So looking forward to that conversation.
Nice. All right, guys. As always, this was the Sparta HQ Network. I am the Spartan. My man Anton, my man Paul. Stay fresh, stay safe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.
Yeah, have a good